Hello and happy Friday, and thanks for tuning in to RadioFreeRhinecliff.org. And this show in particular, correct me if I'm Norm, I'm your host, Norman. I'm thrilled to be here tonight with Kaitlin M. Forbes.
M, yes.
Yeah, M. It said M.
I
think on Facebook.
Am I allowed to curse on here?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Okay. So my Instagram handle is KateMF, and everyone thinks it's motherfucker, but it's
you can't
really
say that.
Marie Forbes.
No, I mean, that's where we draw the line. You can't say motherfucker.
Oopsie.
I'm not allowed to say it even.
Well,
Yeah. So what is it, MF? Do you have two like middle names, or is there a confirmation name in there or something? Or
no. I mean, there was a confirmation name. I dropped that.
so what is it? What's the MF for? Let's set the record
I
straight.
don't know. I just
once
wanted
and
to
for
be
all.
different. And when Facebook first came out, I was like, there's a lot of Kaitlin Forbes out there. I need to be Kaitlin M. Forbes.
And you made up the M?
No, M is for Marie. It's my middle name.
Oh, Marie.
Yeah.
And the F was just for kicks?
It's my last name, Forbes.
Oh,
Silly.
but yeah, sorry. Well, so amazing. And were you on, what was it, MySpace before Facebook?
I was a total MySpace nerd, and I spent so much time trying to make my profile look aesthetically appealing, and I taught myself HTML coding just so I could make it pretty, and did the scrolling text and everything. And then Facebook came out, and you couldn't do any of that, and you couldn't personalize it and make it pretty and
Right.
make your page pink and put music on it. So I was like, this.
So why the hell did people all sort of migrate to Facebook if it had less sort of fun
It was
functions?
just cooler because they made it for college kids only at first, and then you were just like, oh, one day I'll be able to be that cool.
Also, you're supposed to have your real name on Facebook.
Yeah.
And you could have some sort of handle like
could.
MF on MySpace.
Yeah.
What was the guy's name on MySpace? Everybody's first
Tom.
friend? Tom.
Tom.
Wonder where
They
he
deleted
is.
all of your MySpaces too.
They did?
Yeah. If you hadn't
Oh, no.
logged in a few years, which
Like
I
2
forgot my
decades.
password.
Yeah.
they deleted it, and I'm like, those were valuable memories that I had in there.
Yeah. Right. Like little bits of songs and stuff.
Yeah. I want to see how weird I was when I was 14.
When you were 14, what were you listening to?
Ashley Simpson.
Yeah. When's the last time you strolled down memory lane and listened to Ashley Simpson?
I have this Spotify playlist called Thanks for the Memories that has all of my...
I saw that when I was
really
stalking you on
in-
Spotify.
Wow, you're a really good stalker.
Yeah, thanks. That's what everybody says. That's
You
what
did
all
your
the girls
research.
say.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have this Spotify playlist called Thanks for the Memories, and it's basically just a compilation of all of the songs that I used to listen to from 9th grade until 12th grade.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but from 9th grade to 12th grade, you were here in Rhinebeck.
Yes.
And were you here in Rhinebeck from kindergarten through 8th grade as well?
Technically, yes. I mean, I've always lived in
Technically,
Rhinebeck.
But your mind was wandering?
No, my I guess my mom was like, she needs to go to Catholic school after, so 2nd grade.
Oh, so maybe you
and
did have a
3rd
confirmation
grade,
name.
Or 3rd and 4th grade. I went to St. Joseph's Catholic School in Kingston, and then I was like, I hate it here. And I cried every night, and then finally they were like, fine, you can go back to Rhinebeck. So 5th grade, I went back to Rhinebeck, and I stayed at Rhinebeck.
And why did they want you to go to the Catholic school? You were not behaving
My
as well?
mom's, I mean, they probably thought I was a bad child, but my mom, very Irish Catholic.
Okay.
Grandma's from Ireland, but doesn't drink, kind of Ireland Catholic.
I
Which
didn't
is
know
rare.
that part of Ireland existed.
I did not know
it's
what
not
he
on,
did
It's not
either.
on the tour
I was
bus
like,
route.
doesn't Grandma like drinking? And I'm like, no, she does
I
not.
love that. We have
Against it.
5-year-old. What's the matter with Grandma? How come she's not
Yeah,
drinking?
isn't she Irish?
Yeah. Speaking of drinking, you brought some cocktails
I
for us
did.
to enjoy.
Yeah.
It looks
Can I make
amazing.
it?
Yeah, please. What do you
Okay,
have?
so I work at Flatiron in Red Hook.
Uh-huh.
And one of the cocktails we just added is called a Pear Cosmo, and I'm obsessed with it. It's really pretty and pink, so I'm going to make it for you.
Yay. All right, good.
Look at all these cute little jars I
Love that.
brought for them.
So there's pear vodka.
Yeah, so we
and
have pear
triple sec.
vodka, triple sec. It's very easy to
I
make.
love that they're all
Cranberry-
labeled.
I know, I'm a loser.
Are they all pre-measured too?
They are.
Cranberry juice and lime juice.
but I have like 4 drinks in here
Okay,
just
good.
in case. And then I brought a shaker. I look like I'm prepared and know what I'm doing, but I'm not a bartender. So
But the bartender there at the Flatiron in Red
Trusted
Hook,
me to
let's
do this.
plug away, gave you the recipe.
And they gave me
Gave you
all
the
of
stuff.
the stuff.
That's so
Can you
sweet.
believe that?
Shout out to that bartender.
I know.
That's really nice stuff. And you brought a whole bag of ice, which I just love to bits.
Okay, let's try this.
All right, good. Let's try it. Well,
I might spill stuff, so
that's okay. Wow. She just spilled stuff. That's really funny.
Have a mom.
Yeah.
oh my god. I'm such a spaz. One thing you should know about me is people call me a spaz.
Do they? Is that
why.
is that still politically correct? Are we allowed to call people spazzes?
I don't know,
or is
but
that
people still call me that.
spaz? Wow. Well, that was really something. The way you predicted that you might spill something and then did. All right. Now what do you add?
Okay, now I'm adding. So I just added the pear vodka.
Uh-huh.
Now I'm adding triple sec, which not too much if you don't want it to be too sweet.
Okay. My mouth just started watering. I think I
Kind of
got
like a
it.
Jolly Rancher.
I love
And
Jolly Rancher.
then
What's your favorite
cranberry juice? Jolly Rancher.
What's your favorite Jolly Rancher flavor?
I think the blue one, the blue raspberry.
Uh-huh.
Just because I wasn't allowed to have blue candies when I was younger, so once I became of age, I was like, I'm eating everything that's blue. And I
Really? That
have.
was your rebellion?
There were among other things.
Eat everything that's blue. All right.
I've
more
made a mess.
Yeah. What goes in next?
All right, now there's lime juice. So we just did cranberry juice. Now we're doing like a little splash of lime.
And were you drinking something like this when you were at Catholic school over there?
Absolutely not. I was only in 3rd and 4th grade.
Uh-huh.
But I got in trouble a lot. And also what was weird was I was the cool kid in Catholic school. And then, so when I went back to Rhinebeck, I'm like, I'm going to be so cool here. And I was not. Puberty hit me hard. Like the movie Mean Girls.
Yeah.
That was my 6th grade experience, 100%.
And you were on the wrong end of that, on the fuzzy end of the lollipop.
So 5th grade, I was made fun of.
Oh, I see.
And then I found out that they were making fun of me. And I was like, I went home and I was like, Mom, I have to grow my hair long and I have to buy all of my clothes from Abercrombie & Fitch and American Eagle. And she was like, okay. And I was like, summer, 5th grade into 6th grade, I grew my hair long, got new outfits for back to school from Abercrombie & Fitch, and suddenly the Mean Girls asked me to sit at the lunch table with them.
Okay. What was that like? That moment in school, dealing, as you said, with puberty and all these like raging hormones.
I was so annoying. Well, first of all, I was so excited, but then I went home and I was like, I'm popular. I'm popular. The fact that I like have such vivid memories of this is so embarrassing.
Well, you know, that's
All right, I'm shaking our cocktail.
All right, good. Shake it away.
At least I'm not getting it everywhere right now.
Not everywhere, just some places.
And then I have a little
A strainer. All right, what's the bartender's name who hooked you up with this?
Nick Rooney.
Hats off to you, Nick Rooney.
All right.
Is he listening right now?
Is it live?
Yes. Yes, he is.
Yeah. Oh, this looks so good. It looks like sort of a Cosmo.
All right. My measurements were a little bit off, so it's not as much as it should be, but we can have a second round maybe.
All right, good. Well,
right.
cheers.
Cheers.
I want to hear more about like all of a sudden sitting at the popular kids table.
So I basically,
yum.
right? It's so good.
Super delicious.
So this one girl was like, hey, do you want to sit with us at lunch today? And I was like, okay. But I had to go back to my other friends and be like,
But literally like days before, they were like not giving you the time of day.
well, it was like the start of the year.
The year before. Gotcha.
Yeah, but yes. And then all of a sudden, a guy had a crush on me and was passing notes to me. And I was like, oh my God, I have a boyfriend.
And they're like
We're
scouting
not going to
you
talk
out.
in person.
Right.
But we are going to pass notes and say we love each other.
And did you talk on the phone all nonstop?
No, we just pass notes.
And did you have siblings? At this
Yes.
point?
So I have 3 other siblings. There's 4 of us. I'm 7, 10, and 15 years older than all of my siblings.
Oh, I see. So they weren't there to sort of keep you in line.
No.
You're like, you're not cool.
No. So I think when I was in like 6th grade, Aaron was just born. No, that was when I was in 8th grade. So Siobhan was born when I was in 6th grade, I think. She's 26 now.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron is 22 or 23.
Uh-huh.
And then there's John, who's 18. And we were all raised very differently.
Is he a senior now?
So Aaron and John were homeschooled,
Oh,
and Siobhan and I went to Rhinebeck.
okay. And then after how you two turned out, your
Yeah, my
were
parents were like,
We
that's
gotta-
enough of that.
that
Devil
nonsense.
children.
And were your parents very conservative?
My parents are definitely very conservative. They both are retired state troopers, so that was really fun growing up with 2 state troopers as
Both
parents.
of them. Did they have a
both of them.
breathalyzer at the front door?
No, but they did hang their shooting range targets by the door so my dates could see their shot.
And which one was a better shot?
My mom.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's fun. And did she lord that over your father?
Probably. They like never talked to me about state trooper stuff. They would like gossip with my boyfriends about it and be like, oh yeah. And I'm like, you did what? It was pretty crazy. But one time, I snuck out of the house and it was Halloween, I think. And it wasn't even worth it. I snuck out of the house when I lived behind the high school. So walking distance, literally like behind the high school. So I snuck out of my window, walked to meet my boyfriend on the road behind ours. And then hours later, my mom comes downstairs and is like, did you have someone sneak in here last night? And I was like, no. And then she went back upstairs, then came back down like 5 minutes later and was like, I compared the footprints on the vinyl siding to yours, and there was a match. And I was like, screw you. Like,
Wait a
what
minute.
the hell, Mom? Give me a break.
She compared. So you left footprints on the vinyl siding when you were climbing back in the window?
Boot footprints. That's so basic, I know, but
That's hilarious. That's such a funny
Yeah.
story about growing up with a couple of cops.
well, I snuck out all the time, like all the time. And I
was
guess,
it out a window mostly?
yeah, I would always sneak out the window.
You were on the ground floor, I'm
Yes.
guessing. Yeah.
It was a ranch. We lived in a ranch. My parents lived on the opposite side of the house. It was right in that gold period before technology, before like the Ring and all of those cameras existed.
Oh, right.
So I would sneak out the window pretty much. Well, I was always grounded. So I was like, well, I'm going to do what I want anyway. I wasn't that bad of a child, but like I still wanted to like hang out with my friends. So I would sneak out, and then I told my dad years later about how much I snuck out, and he was like, I know. And I guess, well, he was always working midnights. So apparently while I was sneaking out, he was like keeping track of where I was and just like wouldn't tell my mom. Sorry, Mom, if you hear this.
Oh, my God.
And
Because your mom would worry.
yeah, well, no, she wouldn't worry. She would freak out.
And your dad just wanted to keep track to know
Yeah,
you were
well,
okay.
my dad was born and raised in Rhinebeck. So I'm very similar with my dad. We get along very well. So he like grew up having bonfires, drinking beers around the bonfire with his friends. So he understood that I wanted to kind of do the same thing, even though I wasn't of age. But so he kind of gave me space a little bit to experience that, which is pretty nice.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
And Mom was less of the let's give her some space.
Yeah, she was like, you will stay inside forever.
Love that. And were any of your siblings tempted to become state troopers?
No, not whatsoever. Nope.
Huh.
None of us.
I mean, it's not a bad job.
No, it's a great job.
I mean, apart from
I
the
think-
obvious danger factor.
Yeah. I think all of us, I think our parents didn't talk to us a lot about being a state trooper. We just knew that it was a real community, and they were uniformed, and I would get dropped off in the state trooper card from school to school and picked up sometimes, but they didn't really tell us any of the details about what went on the day to day, probably to protect us. But all of us went very different directions. I think Aaron, my one sibling, is the only one that kind of like stayed conservative and more like my parents. The rest of us are just like liberal hippies.
That's funny. So your parents are politically conservative
Yes.
as well.
Yeah.
Huh. And why, answer this again, why do you think that they homeschooled the younger two kids?
Well, I honestly think it was like a control thing. My dad loved Rhinebeck. I think it was more of my mom's decision. She was retiring from the state police, wanted to spend more time with her children. And I was not an easy teenager by any means. I had a lot of emotions and I was very hormonal. And I think they just wanted more control, and there was like a lot of drugs going on. And I think they saw a lot of things as state troopers that
Right.
they wanted to hone it in. And since my mom was retired, she could homeschool them.
Right.
I was very, very against it when it was happening, though.
Against them being homeschooled.
Yeah, because I think it was more the homeschooling. Now it's kind of normal for people to be homeschooled.
Right.
I feel like it's cool now because people are like learning about nature and all of that stuff, especially in like the Hudson Valley. There's definitely a big homeschool co-op base. But when they were doing it, I didn't feel like there was. And I was like, are you just going to like not teach them about evolution? Like, I was just like, what are you doing?
Wow.
And I was such a social butterfly when I was just growing up in general, and I still am, but it was weird to see my siblings being raised in not a social environment and not learning social skills whatsoever.
It seems a real sort of important thing to think about when homeschooling is
Yeah.
the kids getting these socialization
Yeah.
skills, which are probably the most important thing you get from school.
Yeah.
And so
And they didn't want them getting bullied, and I'm like, you can't control that. Like,
No.
yeah, no one wants their kid to get bullied.
Wow. So eventually you left the fold and moved on somewhere.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
you went to DCC, is that right?
Yeah, I went to Dutchess, had an apartment behind CVS with a girl that was the year above me.
Behind CVS here?
Yeah, in Rhinebeck.
Nice.
And then
So it's like a mile and a quarter from
Yeah.
your home.
and then I ended up going to Cortland College, or State University of Cortland.
Right.
And I was dating this guy that went to West Point, Bonnie Schwepp's son.
Oh, nice.
And I just hated Cortland. Like, I showed up and I was like, I'm not going to talk to anyone. I'm here to get a degree and then leave. And so I didn't
That's
really...
a really good attitude to have at
Yeah,
college.
really great
Yeah.
attitude. I ended up joining the EMS squad there, which was really funny. I became an EMT.
But that's a lot of training.
Yeah, but you got it for free if you were part of their crew.
Okay.
Really hilarious group of people. I didn't really have friends there, so they became my friends. And so I was on the college EMS squad. And then to graduate, I was like community health pre-medical. I didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life, but we needed a certain amount of hours of like working in the hospital or something. So I ended up going and living in Thailand for 6 months. And it was
Wait,
my first
wha-
time ever
Wait, why?
leaving the country.
Did I miss this? The reason why you went to Thailand?
Because you had to get a certain amount of medical hours. And I was like, well, if I'm going to get hours, I want to go somewhere cool.
So you got the medical hours of schooling in Thailand?
Yeah.
Wow, in Chiang Mai? Or?
In Chiang Mai, yeah.
Huh.
So I lived there
And
for 6 months.
you'd never been out of the country?
No. I went to Ireland when I was in 3rd grade.
How did you choose
So
Chiang Mai?
I was really influenced by Tumblr, which is so embarrassing to say, but
Yeah.
I'm saying it. I really liked bohemian culture and just like wanted to learn more about it. So I narrowed it down between India and Thailand. And then I looked up which place was safer for a single female traveler, and
Right.
it was Thailand. So
Wow.
that's what I picked.
Amazing. Mm-hmm. And so you landed there. Did you have I guess you had a dorm room or something where you were going to...
I actually left a month early because I was getting stir crazy living with my parents, and I was like, I need to get out of here. So I ended up leaving early and getting certified in Thai massage. Found a Thai massage school, signed up for it, and then it was supposed to be 4 weeks before the internship.
Uh-huh.
And then I met some girl from London who was only doing a week of it and then was going to the islands for 3 weeks. And I was like, that sounds like more fun. So I took the money from the 3 weeks that I had already paid and took it back and used it towards a plane ticket to go to the islands for 3 weeks and just hang out with her. Someone I had just met. Great experience.
Yeah.
And then went back to Chiang Mai and started my medical internship.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And they're teaching in English, presumably?
Yes. Well, yeah. So I worked at one of the hospitals in Chiang Mai, and most of the students were bilingual. So they were able to kind of walk us through what they were doing.
Uh-huh.
It was a little bit funny because I think they thought that we had more training than we did, because it was strictly pre-medical. Like, we had no medical training.
Right.
And there were points where there was like something lost in translation, where like one time they gave me a scalpel and I was like, oh no, no.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I can't do anything with this. But we got to see how the medical system differed from ours, and just like how the community worked together to take care of each other, and just the differences in accidents and like how long they're waiting, and how it was insane.
It must have been an amazing experience.
Really, really cool.
And did that make you want to become a doctor and go to
No.
medical school? And made you not want to do that?
I was like, so there was this one situation where there was this guy who was clearly had some kind of mental illness, and the way they were treating him was just like, he was just crazy. They were treating him like he was crazy, and I was just like, I couldn't understand him because he was speaking Thai, but I was like so much more interested about what was going on in his head than anything I had done for the previous like 5 months. So I realized I definitely don't want to be a doctor. I'm more interested in psychology. So I
Okay.
ended up moving back and not knowing what I want to do with my life.
And you finished up at Cortland.
Finished at Cortland, but then it was one of those degrees where like you have to have another step after it. You can't like do anything with a community health degree, really.
Okay.
So I worked at Bread Alone after that.
But you could have been an EMT.
Yeah, and I did look into that here, but I think in this area specifically, it pays more to be a paramedic,
Okay.
which is a lot more schooling. And honestly, EMTs don't make any money for the amount of work that they have to do, and just like being a first responder for these crazy situations. You make like $15 an hour, which is not worth it to me.
Right.
Yeah, and it was a bit triggering for me, so I couldn't see myself doing that.
What was triggering? Making such small amount of money, or something about the job?
Yes, but no, just being in Rhinebeck, working as an EMT, or being an EMT in general, because when I was 15,
Uh-huh.
I died of sudden cardiac arrest in my gym class.
Wait a minute. Way to bury,
lot
way
to
to bury
cover.
the lead.
Yeah.
When you were 15, you died of sudden cardiac arrest in gym class.
Yes.
Okay. 15, that's pretty young
Yeah.
for a heart attack, no?
Very, very young. So I was in my gym class. I think it was May 11th. It was May 11th. I don't think it was. It was. And I played 3 sports. There wasn't really a warning. I did have chest pain the day before, but it kind of just felt like I pulled a muscle.
Right.
And
why would a 15-year-old think anything other than that?
Right. So we were playing softball in gym class. I rounded first base. And then I guess I told the person who was playing first base that I didn't feel well. And then I collapsed. And I was like the jokester in my gym class. So they were like, come on, get up. And then they saw that I was turning blue. So then my gym teacher started CPR, told one person to get the AED, one person to call 911 and get the nurse.
Okay, hats off to the gym teacher.
Right?
Doing everything right. What's that
Yeah.
gym teacher's name?
Ron Keefe.
Ron Keefe.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ron Keefe.
He's amazing
For-
human. Yeah.
having today's interviewee be here.
Yeah. Amazing human. And then, so all of the paramedics came, Rhinebeck ambulance, and
And was there an AED handy?
so, yes, there was an AED in the high school. It was installed into our high school 6 months prior to my incident,
Wow.
which is pretty crazy.
And somebody ran and got it brought out, and I'm guessing Ron Keefe
Yeah.
administered it.
Yeah. Him and another gym teacher used that on me.
The paddles of life. or
Yeah,
whatever.
seriously. And then what was even crazier is my dad was a state trooper out of Rhinebeck, off of the 4 lanes, and
Yeah.
he heard the 911 call for a 15-year-old girl not responsive on the softball field. So he showed up.
Now I'm just full tilt tears. This what a story.
So he showed up, and then one of the other gym teachers, all of the gym teachers were involved, but one of them was like, "It's your daughter," which I can't even imagine because he's like such a teddy bear.
Right.
And so he was there when it happened.
So you were out.
I was not awake. I
So
was
you
out.
know these things from people recounting
Yeah.
the tale.
Yeah.
Who were not
Yeah.
unconscious.
And then they said that after they shocked me, I came to, but I wasn't like awake. I was still like out, but I was screaming the F word as they were loading me into the ambulance. And my dad was like, okay, good. That takes some brain power. And that sounds like Kaitlin.
You were just screaming fuck, 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 fuck.
I was just screaming fuck as loud as I could.
because you were
My body
in
was
pain?
like, what is happening?
Right, you're freaking out.
Yeah, I wasn't awake during this,
But you were screaming.
but I was screaming fuck.
Right. Yeah.
And then I was sent to Northern Dutchess, and then I was medevac to Westchester Medical Center.
Holy crap.
Yeah, and my mom beat the helicopter in her state trooper car. Pretty crazy.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. So why did this happen?
So they think I had walking pneumonia,
Uh-huh.
and it attacked my heart, which kind of, they said I had myocarditis, which basically just means the lining of your heart becomes enlarged.
Uh-huh.
Mine was from a virus, and it caused my heart to just not be able to, the electrical part not to be able to function.
Okay.
And I still personally think it was partially because I was super depressed when it was
Interesting.
happening.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, pretty crazy.
And
I
do-
have a pacemaker now.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so what do you have to do? Are there activities you can't do now with the
I can't go on a roller coaster, which sucks. Not that I would have gone on one anyway, but I feel like I can say that I would have gone on one just because
Right.
I can't now. and
They suck. They're the worst.
I don't think I'd be able to handle it.
Yeah.
And then I can't play like high contact sports.
Right.
That would like be like an elbow to the chest.
Or maybe bungee jump.
Definitely cannot do that. So any centrifugal force I
Okay.
can't do.
Right. Right. So like the rotor at the state fair is right out.
Yeah. What's funny is, you know, the Ring of Fire?
Yes.
When I first got my pacemaker, we didn't know if I could go on roller coasters yet. For some reason, that wasn't part of like
Really?
the
You
sign
were like
off.
15 and
Yeah,
the
it's like
doctors
they
didn't
didn't
tell
talk
you.
about that.
15 and living where the Dutchess County Fair is, and nobody said no.
No one said anything. And then I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go on it. You guys tell me. And then my mom like saw me upside down with my hair, and it was like, when I got off, she was just like, yeah, you can't go on that. I also can't be near like big magnets. So like MRI or that other thing at the fair where you're like magnetized to the wall. Cannot
Yeah.
do that.
That's good. Big magnets.
Yeah.
Wow. So I'm guessing you, over the years, have given your parents a whole lot of just
Yeah, that might be
terror.
another reason why they started homeschooling. Like there's just probably
Can't
a
use
lot.
The terror. So do you remember what it was at that age that you were so depressed about?
I think it was just guys.
Yeah, a
And
particular guy.
not being able to. Yeah, I mean, I had a boyfriend at the time when this was happening,
Right.
but I had just gotten grounded for sneaking out and going to and going to his house, and I wasn't doing anything. I was like with my friends, but I wasn't allowed to drive in teenagers' cars or anyone else's cars.
Solid policy.
And I was like, hell no, I want to hang out with
Yeah.
my boyfriend. And so he picked me up and we went to his house with my friend. And then my friend got caught, and then I got caught because of her. So I got grounded for like 3 months. So I was like super depressed that I was just
Right.
restricted to being inside all the time. This was before cell phones. I mean, not really. It was like the very first cell phone, so you couldn't really talk to people. There were still minutes and a limited amount of texting you could have.
Right. So you graduated Rhinebeck in 2007
Yes,
with a pacemaker.
with a pacemaker.
And what percentage of your graduating class do you think is still around here? You're still around. You live in Red Hook, is that right?
Yeah, I would say 2%,
That's
maybe 5%.
still most people move off.
Yeah, a lot of
Wow.
people move to New York City.
Right.
Maybe it's more than that. Probably like 10%. I just don't know where they are.
Uh-huh. And you moved to New York City once upon a time, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you went to Hunter.
Yeah, I went to Hunter, moved to New York City just because I felt like I needed to get out of Rhinebeck. And then what a learning experience that was.
What, living in New
Just
York or
living in
going
New
to
York
Hunter?
City. Living
Yeah.
in New York City. I eventually quit Hunter because I was just like, I did everything I needed to graduate, but I was just like, I just was making more money as a server. And I was just meeting such interesting people in the service industry.
Right.
And
And where did you live and where were you working?
I moved every single year that I lived in New York City, which is nuts. I lived there for 7 years.
It's a good way to not amass lots of crap you don't need.
I still did.
All right, I take it back.
I lived in Park Slope and the Upper East Side for the most part. Yeah.
And what kinds of restaurants did you work at?
I worked at the Smith in New York City for 3 years. The owner is also heir to the Oxycontin fortune.
Oh.
Fun fact. And then I got fired because I was burnt out and I hacked their POS system. Not in a bad way. I was just like, I wanted it to show what people should tip. Like, this is what 20% is. And there was a way to make it so that printed on the receipt as like suggested gratuity.
And now it does that everywhere.
I know.
And you were hacking into the system to make it do that before it was popular.
Yeah. And I got in trouble.
And somebody later on came along and invented that.
Yeah.
And they're retired, living in the Caribbean now.
Yeah.
So what were you studying at Hunter? Were you studying some computer stuff? Look, you almost got some of that drink into your mouth. What was it, spaz?
Yeah, but
When
I
were
was
you-
studying psychology at Hunter.
Okay,
So I pretty much took every single psychology course that they had.
nice.
And then I realized, I'm only going to school to learn about myself. Like I think just going through my cardiac arrest and all of that, I spent a lot of time worrying about surviving rather than while all of my peers were trying to figure out what they were going to do with their life. I was like, am I going to live? So I ended up just going to school, kind of like community health. When I look back, it was just kind of to teach me more knowledge about the human body and
Right.
just like the community and everything. And then going for psychology was to learn more about what's going on in my mind when I'm having a panic attack or anxiety over having a pacemaker.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
And so did the doctors give you numbers like, 99% of people with this at your age and your health live like until they're 90? Or did they discuss?
Yeah, they said I would live a normal life.
Right.
It was just like, for some reason, I was like, I'm being controlled by a machine. What if it stops working?
Right. But also, I mean, psychologically, rounding first base and falling on your face
Yeah.
with a heart attack at 15
Kinda crazy.
must take some of the sort of certainty out of
Yeah.
the way you approach life.
Yeah. Well, I didn't have any anxiety about what happened to me until it happened. The same thing happened to my friend. And she died.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oof.
But
I'm so
hers
sorry.
wasn't, she was at her home when it happened.
Uh-huh.
And it happened a year after mine. So going into our senior year of high school. And then it took me like 7 months, which is like typical textbook PTSD, for it to like really hit me. And I was like having panic attacks. And I was just like, I'm going to die. Like, I'm not okay.
Reasonable
Yeah.
anxiety to have.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry about your friend. What was her name?
Maggie O'Malley.
Oh, Maggie O'Malley.
Yeah.
Oof. Well, so a year ago or so, the guy Damar Hamlin, and I saying the name right? Damar.
Yeah.
Dropped on the football field.
Yeah.
Heart attack. An athlete, a top level
Yeah.
athlete. And you mentioned PTSD. Does that kind of thing like really?
Well, it was interesting
Trigger you?
because I wasn't watching the football game.
Uh-huh.
I don't have a boyfriend that was watching it, so therefore I was not watching football. But everyone just started coming out of the woodwork wanting to interview me about what happened to me because it was relevant again. And I think nothing has really happened on the world national stage with someone actually having a cardiac arrest and being saved. Someone who's like a national athlete or worldly figure. So it was nice to see that people were recognizing it and talking about it and talking about how to prevent it. But
Right.
yeah, it gave me a little bit of anxiety. But I think so much time has passed that I've definitely worked through all of my issues.
Okay.
Gone to a lot of therapies. And yeah, I feel like I'm on to the next chapter finally, which is nice.
And what does that chapter look like?
I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing.
Come on. Well, let me ask
I
this.
think it's more just like a chapter of growing and being able to focus on, instead of being influenced by my anxiety, for once being able to be influenced by like what speaks to my soul.
Right. Well, hats off to you. That sounds fabulous. Now, one of your pages, I think it was LinkedIn, said that you work with the Sudden Cardiac Arrest Foundation.
Yes.
And the American Heart Association
Yeah.
as a AED and a CPR instructor.
I did.
You did?
Yeah.
You no longer do that?
I'm not certified to train anybody anymore or certify other people.
Okay.
But my senior year of high school and after for 2 years, my mom and Maggie's mom and I founded the Heart Safe Club of Rhinebeck, and we made Rhinebeck a heart safe community. So when you first drive into the town, there's like by the fairgrounds, there's a little sign that says Heart Safe Community.
Uh-huh.
And in order to get that jurisdiction, you have to have like 25% of the businesses and restaurants in Rhinebeck have to have an AED. 25% of the staff at that place has to be trained in CPR and AED use.
Wow. And did they put signs in the front door that
I think
we
so,
have an
yeah.
AED?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So not every place is 24 hours, but like
right.
Beekman Arms has it, the library has it, the police station.
I assume every state policeman, every
Yeah.
state trooper is trained in that.
Yeah, and now they carry it in their car. They didn't used to, though.
Amazing. That's so
Yeah.
cool. So have you ever personally done that to somebody who
I
was...
have not. But it's interesting because there's been times when like I've seen someone pass out, and it's interesting to see my reaction, and I'm just like, let's go. Like it happened at the fair, and I was working at the fair behind a counter, and I literally jumped the counter, and I was like the scene is safe. And I was like, someone get this person water. And I was just like a machine.
That's great. It
was
must
really-
be nice to know that about
It's
yourself.
good to know that about myself, that I won't be like, oh my God.
Right. So when and how did you make your way back to Rhinebeck?
So I was
after Thailand, after
Yeah.
Hunter, after New York.
So I was working at this bougie membership club in New York City for 3 years called Noya House.
Uh-huh.
Worked through the pandemic, got really, really burnt out, and realized I was just in a constant state of anxiety all the time. And I was like, you know what? I'm not happy. I need to leave, and I need to be near nature. And I was originally thinking like maybe I should live in Portland, Maine. Never been there before, but then I was like, I'll start with moving back to Rhinebeck.
Right.
I had this opportunity where my great uncle has a house in town, and him and his wife are in Florida in the winter, and he said I could stay there, and it was perfect because I didn't have a car. So I lived there for 4 months, got a job, started making money, and then bought a car, and then got an apartment, and realized I had a lot of friends that are still here.
Uh-huh.
So I'm like,
So of the 2%
Really
of
happy.
your class who stayed, a lot of them
they're
were your
actually
friends.
from Red Hook.
Oh, that's fun. And what kind of job did you get when you got back
So
here?
I got this basically like dream work from home tech job selling POS software, but I was going to be
Point of sale.
point of sale.
Right.
Yes.
First time you
Yes.
said that, I was like, piece of shit software. Why?
That
any-
too.
Yeah.
So I worked for this company called Toast. When I got the job, I cried because I was like, I've made it. Like, this is like a job where people will really respect me and be like, wow, Kaitlin works for Toast. And I'll be making money. And then 6 months in, I was like, I'm miserable. I just feel like I felt like I wasn't being my authentic self. I'm not a great salesperson. I just am way too honest. And if something isn't right for someone, I'm not going to push it on them,
Sure.
which is not part of the job. So I ended up leaving and working. Now I work at Flatiron as a server,
Uh-huh.
and I love it. I work 5 days a week, and I work 4 hours a night from 4 to 10, 4 to 9 or 4 to 10.
Uh-huh.
I guess that's more than 4 hours.
That's all right.
Math was
Nobody
never
who
my
listens
strong
is a math
suit.
major, yeah.
And then I have the days to like do arts and crafts and go hiking.
That's great.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you've figured out a pretty nice lifestyle for
For
yourself
right
here.
now, yeah.
And well, right now, that begs the question, are there things percolating that you think you might like to explore beyond this?
I don't know yet.
Right. I mean, some people are servers their entire lives.
Yeah, I don't think I will be.
And some of them just make crazy amounts of money.
Yeah, I think I've thought about, I just have so many interests. I need to like narrow it down and try to figure out what I really want to do. I'd love to be like a property manager. Who wouldn't want to be a property manager? I'd love to do a food truck. There's just I have so many ideas. I'm very creative. And one of the fun things about Flatiron is in January, we closed for a week and we had the opportunity to kind of like give it a little TLC. So we painted everything and they let me use my creative side to kind of spruce it up a little. So I redesigned all of the menus and made them really pretty.
Oh, what
added
fun.
flowers. And yeah, it's been really fun.
That sounds great. It sounds like
Yeah.
you're working with nice people
And now I'm in
there.
charge of their Instagram, which is really fun.
Oh, Flatiron Instagram.
Yeah.
I will check.
I'm
I will
having
check,
fun.
Check that
Yeah,
out.
follow us.
Yeah, I will if I don't already.
Flatiron Restaurant.
Well, it sounds like a pretty chill schedule.
Yeah,
too.
it's really great.
And you said you hike. Where do you like to hike around here?
I'm starting, so I grew up here, never hiked, never took advantage of it at all. And so I'm kind of, my goal is to go do all of the Catskills within the next
The 35.
35. I've done like 3 of them.
So
And
these are the 35 peaks over 3,500 feet. Is that
Yeah.
right? Okay.
I did one of them and oh my God, I am out of shape. It's going to take a bit, but like I think it will be a good learning experience. And well, after I did one of them, it was really hard and it took a very long time. My phone died and I almost got lost on the way back.
Oh, geez.
But,
and which was the first one you did?
Forget what it was called. Honestly, I'd have to look at my Instagram. But I didn't even know what like rock scrambling was. I thought it was like rock climbing. So I was like trying to stay away from those, but now I know that it's not rock climbing. You can actually do that without gear.
Right. And what is scrambling?
So basically it's just like uneven rocks that you kind of have to like plant and climb a little bit, but it's nothing that's like, you don't have to use a rope or anything.
Right. But you do have to watch out for rattlesnakes.
Yeah, I've heard that, and like I need to be more aware of these things. That and like ticks. Totally forgot about ticks.
Ticks are the worst.
Yeah, they're bad here.
It's the most dangerous
Mm-hmm.
animal out there.
It is.
Yeah, I'm terrified of ticks.
Me too.
I check myself incessantly when I'm out and come back in. And I hate spray and sunscreen, all that stuff.
I know.
But I definitely put tick spray on if I'm going to be out.
Yeah. Yeah, those things are rough.
Huh. So do you do anything? Do you train for the other 33 peaks?
I guess I could. I'm like one of those people who likes the idea of things, and then I'm just like, oh, this is a little bit more difficult than I thought it'd be.
There's a name for those people. I think it's the rest of America.
Yeah. I just like think I can do a lot of things. Like I'm also like really cocky about being able to like do woodworking when I've never really used an electric saw in my life, but then I'll just be like, and it's like, what are you doing?
And it works out for you?
I mean, sometimes. And by that I mean I'm just like cutting a board and making a sign that says Upstate on it.
And where can we see this board that says Upstate?
In my apartment, but I was thinking about making an Etsy.
Oh, yeah.
Should I?
Yeah, heck yeah. Why not?
People
sounds
love
like you have time.
I do have a lot of time to do that.
So it's a rustic sort of sign?
Yeah, and it says, I have them all over my apartment, and they say, like, Tivoli, Berrytown. It's all of my favorite. I have one that says Rhinecliff. I don't even have a Rhinebeck one.
Are they
I have a
on
Rhinecliff
your
one.
Instagram account?
Probably. On mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, sure. Make an Etsy.
Okay.
What would you sell them for?
I don't know, like $10,
How-
15.
How big are they?
They're like,
What's the cost of material? How much time? $15
the
sounds
cost
cheap.
is I get them for free.
Okay.
The wood is just a pallet that I cut, and then I just use white paint.
And where do you get the palettes from?
Side of the road.
Side of the road.
Or my dad has them, and I'll be like, can I steal some of these?
Right. Why does your dad have palettes?
I think he just starts collecting them for me when I said I was interested. He has a truck, so he'll be like, hey, do you want any of these? He also does a lot of gardening, so he like makes his own palette gardening setup
Right.
every year.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. All right, I wanted to ask this. You left the fold of your sort of conservative house
Yeah.
where you were being raised Catholic.
Very.
Did you leave the fold of your religion at that point as well?
I left way sooner than I left my house.
Oh, yeah?
I was in high school, and I wasn't allowed to, like, I had to go to church every Sunday.
Right.
And I would hang out with my friends in 10th grade. I think that's when we, like, started drinking, really. And
what would you drink?
like, raspberry vodka. It was nasty. Like, I can't even drink that. I could never drink that ever again because it's so gross.
But the pear vodka
But this
is okay.
is like a little
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's different.
Uh-huh.
But maybe that's why I like it.
Yeah.
So my parents would let me hang out with certain people if they were Catholic or went to church the next morning. So I'd be like, I'm going to go to Brittany Ross.
Because they thought that they were better people and had a stronger moral compass. And
They're just like, I don't know. I have no idea what they were thinking. They were like, as long as she goes to church. So I'd be like, I'm sleeping over at Brittany's. They're taking us to church in the morning. And we would go to church really all over. But I would have to like bring back a bulletin to prove that I went to church.
no way.
Yeah. And like on weekends where I was home, if I didn't go to church, I would get grounded. And I'm like, this doesn't make me like church. This makes me hate it.
Have you sat down and spoken to your parents about this kind of stuff
They just
since
like,
then?
Yeah, they're just like, whatever. Like, we just really don't understand each other when it comes to religion or politics.
And presumably they raised all of your siblings that way as well.
Yeah, I would say the only one who stayed Catholic is Erin.
Uh-huh.
She's 22, married, and everyone else is kind of just like, yeah, not really into it. Not really into religion, especially not the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've just learned not to talk about politics or religion in the household because the anxiety level, my parents like really just like aren't great with confrontation at all.
People in general aren't.
But they're just like, they cannot handle it.
Right.
So, and it's bad when it's like Siobhan and I, and we're like the oldest, and we're like, like being little assholes about it. Like, how are you going to raise them? You going to teach evolution? Yeah, it's not. Yeah, we were kind of jerky, but
Were you no longer? It's
no, I'm
past
still.
tense.
Well, I
Yeah.
feel like now that the youngest is 18, it's more acceptable. When he was like 10,
Right.
it was way more jerky.
Right.
But now that he can semi think for himself, which he
Right.
is, and I'm proud of him, which is pretty cool. He's a cool little dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. And what kind of a path is he on, do you think?
So he was also homeschooled, but he got into Rhinebeck theater. And then he had this guitar teacher who I think just while they were jamming and learning guitar, taught him about life and like a more liberal way of life.
Right.
And so he, I think, was able to form his own opinions about things rather than just hearing and parroting everything my parents thought and said.
Right.
And so a lot of his friends come from more liberal families. He loves music. He plays it 24/7. So he's going to go probably to New Paltz
Nice.
for music.
Totally cool. Is he in a band or anything?
I think so. He like plays, he works at Dunkin' Donuts in Red Hook.
Nice.
He has like a little fro. And I don't think he has like a specific band, but he plays where he can. He can get an open mic.
Love that.
He's also 18, so he can't like go to like bars or anything really. So
Right, you got to be 21, I
Yeah.
guess. So you were in your 20s, I'm guessing. Where do you go when you're going out?
wait, me?
Yeah.
I'm 33,
Oh, well, you know.
but thank you. Where do I go out? I go out at Flatiron.
That's
Yeah.
nice. What a great thing. I mean, it must be such a good place.
Or I used to go to Terrapin when I was living in Rhinebeck. I go to Flatiron, or my friends will have cookouts and we'll just like sit in the backyard and drink some White Claws and
White Claws.
cook on the fire. Which
Sounds-
is fun.
that
Or we
sounds-
play games.
That sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
But I guess I was just thinking about establishments. Like there's just this new place in town.
Oh, yeah,
where
Rhine
the
Cellar.
vault or whatever used to be.
Rhine Cellar.
Yeah, Rhine Cellar.
Yeah.
Do you go there?
I haven't been there yet, but I
Uh-huh.
did sell them toast.
You sold them toast.
Before
which is
I
the
quit.
piece of shit, the
piece
point of
shit.
sale
yes,
thing.
exactly. Hopefully it's working out for them. We use it at Flatiron. It's pretty sweet.
What's the best thing about toast?
I think it's just easy.
I think it's just there.
It's hard to say. Like, I think all point of sale systems are very similar now. But it's very easy if you're kind of just trying to figure it out for the first time to just like, it's also really good if you're a manager to collect all of the data to see like
Okay.
what's selling, what's not selling.
And it's probably a standard function to offer what the tips would be for
Yes.
various.
It is crazy, right?
Yeah.
Isn't it crazy that I also got fired for that and then I got a job selling it?
Yeah.
That was part of my interview. They
Oh.
were like, "You're perfect."
That's great. And do you mess around with code and computers and stuff anymore?
You know, I don't. It kind of sucks because I feel like if I had continued, I mean, if Facebook had coding, I probably would have continued it. But because it didn't, I ended up going to Tumblr and doing the coding there. And then I kind of just stopped. But I did love that. It was kind of like a puzzle.
Right. Well, I'm going to read one of your quotes to you.
Oh, God.
From Facebook. I don't know if I'd ever seen this. You had on Facebook a whole bunch of
I don't think
quotes.
anyone else has this many quotes, but I was just like, these speak about my soul and I need to put them here.
Yeah. Here it is. F. Scott Fitzgerald. For what it's worth, it's never too late to be whoever you want to be.
I love that quote.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
And
I feel that I've definitely grown in, because I posted all of these probably when I was like 20. And I've
Which is like
definitely
3 years ago.
grown. Exactly.
Yeah.
I think I've definitely grown into that because I think the most interesting people is, I don't know if this is another quote, but the most interesting people I've met are people who've never known what they wanted to do. And kind of just always like change jobs. Those are the most interesting people.
that's kind of amazing thought. I never considered that.
Yeah.
People who are trying different things, sampling all of life's opportunities.
They're always very interesting humans.
Well, very good. What else? Oh, here's a question I had. No, this. One of your things, I think it was LinkedIn, said in 2013 you touched Taylor Swift's hand.
That was not a LinkedIn. It was Facebook. And yes, I did. And it was the most amazing thing in the entire world. Let me tell you, I am so excited for her concert. I'm going, when is it?
Where is it?
MetLife Stadium, going May 28th.
How much were tickets?
I got them in the pre-sale, which I think they sold out after the pre-sale. But I think it was like $175 each. I mean, they're definitely like not front row.
Right.
And it was hard getting these tickets because I'm like comparing to the time that I won the opportunity in 2011 or 2012 to buy front row pit tickets for Taylor Swift. And I went with Kirsten Schwepp, and it was the most amazing experience of my life.
And is that when you touched her hand?
Yes.
Amazing. Well, I hope you get to touch her hand
I won't,
again.
but it's okay.
Right. You never know. All right. Well, guess what? We're out of time.
Okay.
It's been a wonderful
I had
hour
so much fun talking
with
to
you. The
you.
best. Everybody, thanks for tuning in to radiofreerhinecliff.org and for listening to Correct Me If I'm Norm and tonight's guest, Kaitlin M. Forbes. Everybody have a good night and a good weekend.
Night.